I, 32 male, started as a laborer right out of high school. I worked nights to get my construction management degree and clawed my way up over 12 years. I make around $95,000 now, which is solid money in our mid-sized city in Tennessee. My dad always told me, build something that lasts, son, because everything else is just noise. He was a concrete contractor who built half the foundations in our county, taught me to work with my hands, respect honest labor, and never trust anyone who looks down on the people who actually build the world they live in. Smart man. He would spend weekends teaching me about different concrete mixes, how to read soil reports, and why proper curing time mattered more than speed. Shortcuts today become disasters tomorrow, he would say while we watched a foundation set. I live in a 3-bedroom house I bought 5 years ago for $180,000. I fixed it up myself over 2 years, adding a new kitchen, new bathrooms, and finishing the basement. Nothing fancy, but it is mine. I paid it off early, and it is worth about $260,000 now. My neighbors are teachers, mechanics, nurses, working people who take care of their properties and mind their own business. It is the kind of neighborhood where people wave when they see you in the yard and offer to help when you are obviously struggling with a project. My fiancée Emma, 29 female, is an elementary school teacher, or was anyway. She teaches 3rd grade at the local public school, makes about $48,000 a year, which is not much. But she claims she is changing lives and following her passion. That is fine. Teachers are important, even if the pay sucks. What always bothered me was how she would complain about the salary, but refused to consider teaching at private schools that paid better because they were less meaningful or not diverse enough. We met 3 years ago at my buddy Kevin's barbecue. Emma was dating his cousin at the time, but they broke up about a month later. She started texting me. We went on a few dates, and things progressed from there. She moved into my house after about 18 months, and I proposed last Christmas. The proposal was at her favorite restaurant downtown. Nothing too flashy, just the two of us and a ring I had spent 3 months saving for. The ring cost me $8,500. Nothing crazy, but a respectable 1.5-carat diamond that she picked out herself. The wedding was scheduled for last October. It was a small ceremony, about 80 people, with a reception at the country club. The total budget was around $22,000, which I was covering entirely since Emma's parents are retired and living on a fixed income. They had offered to contribute what they could, but I could see the stress in their faces when we talked numbers. Here is where things get complicated. Emma has student loans, a lot of student loans. She went to a private college for her teaching degree, then got a master's in education from another private school. Total debt, $89,000. Monthly payments, $850. When she moved in, we had the money talk. She was struggling with the loan payments on a teacher's salary, so I offered to help. I have been paying her student loans for the past year and a half, $850 every month. Plus, I cover the mortgage, utilities, groceries, and most other expenses. She kicks in maybe $400 a month toward groceries and her personal stuff. The arrangement made sense at the time. We were building a future together and her financial stress was affecting our relationship. I did not mind helping. We were getting married, building a future together. Her debt would become our debt eventually anyway. Plus, she was always talking about how grateful she was, how she had never had someone support her dreams like this before. She would make little comments about how her previous boyfriends never understood her commitment to education, never supported her career the way I did. Looking back, there were signs I should have paid attention to, like how she would roll her eyes whenever I talked about work projects. "It is just buildings, Ryan. You act like you are curing cancer." Never mind that those buildings included 2 elementary schools that kids like hers would attend. When I would get excited about solving a complex structural problem or meeting a tight deadline, she would get this glazed look in her eyes like I was speaking a foreign language, or how she would make comments about my truck. I drive a 2018 Ford F-150 fully loaded that I bought used with cash. It is a good truck, reliable, and perfect for hauling materials when I work on the house. But Emma would always point out BMWs and Audis in parking lots, saying things like, "Someday we will upgrade to something more professional." She would mention how her friend Sarah's boyfriend drove a Mercedes and how impressive it looked in the school parking lot. The worst was how she treated my family. My parents still live in the house I grew up in, a modest ranch on the outskirts of town. Dad is retired now, but he still keeps a small workshop where he builds furniture as a hobby. Emma would always find excuses not to visit, and when she did come, she would sit on her phone the whole time looking bored. She would make polite conversation, but never showed genuine interest in Dad's stories about construction projects or Mom's garden. "Your dad is very handy," she said once, like it was an insult. My dad was more of the intellectual type. Her dad sold insurance before he retired. There is nothing wrong with that. But acting like it made him superior to a man who built foundations for 40 years, that should have been a red flag. The beginning of the end started in August, about 2 months before our wedding. Emma had been spending a lot of time on social media, which was not unusual. Teachers love their Facebook groups and Pinterest boards, but she was being secretive about it, angling her phone away from me and quickly closing apps when I walked by. When I would ask what was so interesting, she would just say teacher stuff or wedding planning. One Saturday morning, she was in the kitchen making coffee, practically bouncing with excitement. I was sitting at the table reviewing project timelines for a new medical center. We were breaking ground the following week. Ryan, you will never guess who reached out to me on Facebook. I was reading the news on my tablet, half listening. Who is that? Tyler Morrison from high school, can you believe it? The name meant nothing to me. Should I know who that is? Tyler was we dated senior year. He was student body president, quarterback, voted most likely to succeed. We broke up when we went to different colleges. But we always said we would find each other again someday. Her voice had this dreamy quality I had never heard before, like she was talking about a movie star instead of some guy from 15 years ago. Something cold settled in my stomach. And he just randomly reached out. He has been going through a rough patch and saw my engagement announcement. He wanted to reconnect with old friends, see how everyone turned out. She was practically glowing. Isn't that sweet? Sweet was not the word I would use. Convenient, maybe. Suspicious, definitely. Over the next few weeks, Emma started bringing up Tyler constantly. Tyler had moved to California after college and worked in tech. Tyler had traveled all over Europe. Tyler was an artist on the side. He painted landscapes and sold them online. Tyler was going through a difficult time and needed emotional support from people who really knew him. Every conversation somehow circled back to Tyler's accomplishments, Tyler's creativity, Tyler's sensitive soul. He has always been so deep, she would say, staring dreamily at her phone. Even in high school, he saw the world differently than everyone else. He understood me in a way that nobody else did. She would show me his artwork, decent landscapes, nothing special, but she acted like he was the next Van Gogh. I asked if Tyler was married, had kids, what his situation was. Emma was vague. It is complicated, she would say. He is figuring some things out. When I pressed for details, she would get defensive, accusing me of being jealous or possessive. There were red flags everywhere, but I was busy with work. We were wrapping up a major hospital project, and I was pulling 60-hour weeks. Wedding planning was mostly on autopilot since we had handled the big decisions months earlier. I trusted Emma to handle the final details, and I trusted her, period. Big mistake. Then Emma started talking about signs and destiny. Don't you think it is strange that Tyler reached out right before our wedding? She asked one night while I was reviewing blueprints at the kitchen table. Like, what are the odds? Pretty good, actually. Your engagement announcement was public on Facebook. Old friends see those and reach out all the time. She frowned. You do not believe in fate? I believe in making smart decisions and working hard. Fate is what people blame when they make bad choices. That conversation did not go well. Emma accused me of being unromantic, of reducing everything to logic and practicality. There is more to life than blueprints and budgets, Ryan. Some things cannot be measured or planned. Emma started working late more often, staying for faculty meetings and parent conferences. She would come home talking about Tyler, how he understood her passion for teaching, how he encouraged her artistic side, how he made her feel intellectually stimulated in ways she had not experienced in years. The conversations felt like emotional infidelity, each one chipping away at what we had built together. Each conversation felt like a knife twist. Here I was, working my ass off to provide for our future while she was falling for some guy from her past who offered nothing but romantic fantasies. Tyler thinks I should be writing children's books, she announced one evening. He says I have natural storytelling ability, and I am wasting it just teaching other people's curriculum. Writing books does not pay the bills, I pointed out. Your student loan payments alone are $850 a month. Not everything is about money, Ryan. Some things are about following your dreams. Easy to say when someone else is paying your bills. I wanted to point out that her dreams were funded by my very practical, unromantic construction work, but I held my tongue. The final blow came on a Tuesday night, 3 weeks before our wedding. I had just gotten home from a long day, dealing with a concrete pour that went sideways, covered in dust and exhausted. Emma was sitting at the kitchen table with a bottle of wine, her laptop open, tears streaming down her face. The whole scene felt staged, like she had been rehearsing this moment. We need to talk, she said. Those were the 4 words every man dreads. I sat down across from her, still in my work clothes, steel-toed boots heavy on my feet. "What is wrong?" "I cannot marry you, Ryan." The words hit like a physical blow. "What do you mean you cannot marry me? Tyler and I have been talking every day for the past month, really talking about life and dreams and what we want our futures to look like." She wiped her eyes, smearing her mascara. "I thought what we had was love, but it is not. It is just comfortable, safe. Tyler makes me feel alive in a way I had forgotten was possible." "Tyler makes you feel alive? The guy you have not seen in 10 years, 11 years. And yes, he does. We have this connection that transcends time and distance. It is like we are meant to be together, like the universe kept us apart so we could find each other when we were ready." I stared at her, this woman I had planned to spend my life with, spouting romantic movie dialogue like it was profound wisdom. "The universe, Emma? This is reality, not a romance novel. You would not understand. You have never experienced a love like this. You are right. I have never experienced falling in love with someone else while I was engaged to marry a different person." She flinched but pushed forward. "I know this is hard, but we cannot ignore what is happening here. Tyler and I are soulmates. We always have been." "Where is Tyler now? Still in California?" She hesitated. "Actually, he is back in town. He moved back a few weeks ago." "A few weeks ago, and you did not think to mention this, but you are okay with canceling our wedding 3 weeks beforehand. I know the timing is terrible, but I cannot live a lie. I cannot marry you when my heart belongs to someone else." I sat there for a long moment, processing 3 years together, a house we had made into a home, wedding invitations already sent, deposits paid, her student loans that I had been covering for 18 months. All of it reduced to, my heart belongs to someone else. "So, what happens now?" I asked. "Tyler and I are going to take things slow, see where this leads. I will move out, obviously, but I was hoping we could still be friends eventually." "And your student loans?" She looked confused. "What about them?" "I have been paying them for 1.5 years. Are you planning to take that over?" "Well, I mean, I cannot afford the full payments on a teacher's salary. I was hoping you could help me transition gradually." I actually laughed. "You want to leave me for your high school boyfriend, but you want me to keep paying your bills? It is not like that. You offered to help with the loans. You said you wanted to support my career. But when we were getting married, when your debt was going to become our debt, but you know how hard it is for teachers financially. I cannot just suddenly take on $850 a month." "Then maybe you should have thought about that before deciding to follow your heart." The conversation went in circles for another hour. Emma could not understand why I would not continue supporting her transition into her new life. In her mind, my feelings for her should make me want to help her be happy, even if it was not with me. She kept using phrases like, "if you really love me," and "for the sake of what we had together." I went to bed that night on the couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out where the hell my life had gone off the rails. The next morning, Emma was already gone when I woke up. She had left a note saying she was staying with her friend Jessica while she figured things out. The note also mentioned that she would really appreciate it if I could cover the student loan payment due next week, just until she could adjust her budget. The casual way she asked for money after destroying our relationship was breathtaking. I called in sick to work and spent the day canceling wedding vendors. I lost most of the deposits, obviously. The venue kept $3,500. The photographer kept $1,200. The florist was surprisingly cool about it and refunded everything except $300. Total losses were around $8,000 down the drain because Emma found her soulmate on Facebook. That evening, I called my buddy Marcus, who works in information technology at the school district. "I need a favor," I told him. "Can you look up some employment records for me?" "Depends what you need." "A guy named Tyler Morrison. Emma says he is back in town." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Ryan, are you sure you want to go down this road? Just tell me what you can find." An hour later, Marcus called back. "Tyler Morrison, age 29, hired as a substitute teacher 3 weeks ago. Home address is 1247 Oak Street." Oak Street. I knew that address. It was a low-income apartment complex on the south side of town, not exactly where a successful tech worker would live. The complex was known for high turnover, broken air conditioning, and residents who kept their cars running in case they needed to make a quick exit. The next day, I did some digging on my own. Public records are surprisingly easy to access when you know where to look. Tyler Morrison had filed for bankruptcy in California 2 years ago. He had been evicted from his last apartment for non-payment of rent. He had 3 outstanding warrants for unpaid traffic tickets and a suspended driver's license. Even more interesting, there was a marriage license on file with the county clerk's office. Tyler Morrison married Cassandra Williams 4 years ago. No divorce decree had been filed. Tyler was married. I sat in my truck outside the Oak Street apartments that evening, debating what to do with this information. Around 6 p.m., I saw him, average height, thinning brown hair, wearing a polo shirt and khakis that had seen better days. He was carrying a bag of fast food and struggling with a key that did not want to work in his apartment door. He looked nothing like the successful artistic dreamboat Emma had been describing. This was Emma's soulmate. This was the guy who was going to give her the intellectual stimulation and artistic fulfillment I supposedly could not provide. I followed him for the next few days, keeping my distance. His routine was pathetic. Substitute teaching when they called him, which was not often. Hanging out at the public library, using their free internet, shopping at dollar stores, eating fast food. His car was a beat-up 2009 Honda Civic with a cracked windshield and temporary tags. The muffler was shot. I could hear him coming from 3 blocks away. On Friday, I watched him meet Emma at a coffee shop downtown. She lit up when she saw him, practically bouncing in her seat as they talked. He looked tired and distracted, checking his phone constantly. When the bill came, Emma paid. I watched her slide her credit card across the table without him even reaching for his wallet. That is when I knew I had him. Saturday morning, I called Emma. "We need to talk about the house," I said, "and your stuff." "Oh, Ryan, I am so glad you called. I was hoping we could discuss things rationally." "Sure, but not over the phone. Can you come by around 2 p.m.? "Of course, I have really missed the house, and Max." Max was our cat. Well, my cat that she had claimed joint custody of despite never paying for food or vet bills. At exactly 2 p.m., Emma showed up with Tyler in tow. I had been expecting this. She wanted moral support, and probably wanted Tyler to see the house she had been living in. Maybe she thought seeing my home would impress him, show him what kind of life she was used to. Emma looked amazing, with a new haircut, makeup perfectly done, and wearing a dress I had never seen before. Tyler looked exactly like he had all week, tired, uncomfortable, and slightly confused about why he was there. "Tyler, this is Ryan," Emma said brightly. "Ryan, Tyler." We shook hands. His grip was weak and he could not maintain eye contact. "Nice place," Tyler said, looking around the living room. "Very traditional." I could see Emma cringe slightly at his lack of enthusiasm. She had been hoping for a bigger reaction, maybe some jealousy or appreciation for what she was giving up. "Thanks. I built most of the interior, myself. Emma has been living here for almost 2 years. I gestured to the couch. "Please sit down." Emma perched on the edge of the cushion. Tyler sat beside her, looking like he would rather be anywhere else. "So," I said, settling into my chair, "I have been thinking about what you said, Emma, about your student loans." Her face brightened. "Really? I knew you would understand once you had time to process everything." "Oh, I understand perfectly. You want to start a new life with Tyler, but you want me to subsidize it." Tyler shifted uncomfortably. "Look, man, I do not think—" "Actually, Tyler, I am curious about something. Emma says you work in tech. What company?" "Well, I am between positions right now." "He is transitioning careers," Emma jumped in. "He is focusing on his art while he figures out his next move." "Artist, right? And where are you living these days, Tyler?" "I've got a place on Oak Street. Just temporary while I get established. The Oak Meadow Complex, Unit 15B. Tyler went pale. "How'd you know that?" "Amazing what you can find online these days. Like marriage licenses, for instance." Emma looked confused. "Marriage licenses?" "Tyler Morrison married Cassandra Williams on June 15, 2019. No divorce decree on file. Congratulations, Emma. You are the other woman." The silence that followed was spectacular. Emma's face went through about 6 different emotions in 10 seconds. Tyler looked like he wanted to disappear through the floor. "That is not— we are separated," Tyler stammered. "It is complicated." "Separated but still married," I clarified, "with 2 kids according to your bankruptcy filing from California. Kids who are apparently living with your wife while you pursue your artistic dreams in Tennessee?" Emma turned to stare at Tyler. "You have children?" "It is not what you think." "What I think," I interrupted, "is that you moved back here because you are broke, homeless, and figured you could manipulate your high school girlfriend into supporting you, just like I have been doing for the past 18 months. "That is not true," Emma protested, but her voice lacked conviction. I pulled out a folder I had prepared, Tyler's employment record with the school district, 3 weeks as a substitute teacher, $90 per day when called, his apartment lease, month to month, $650 rent, 2 months behind, and his credit report showing maxed out cards and collections accounts. I slid the papers across the coffee table. Emma picked them up with shaking hands. "You told me you worked in tech," she whispered. "I did work in tech. For a while things did not work out. You told me you were an artist. I am an artist. The market is tough right now. You told me you were single. Cassie and I are getting divorced. It is just taking time to finalize." Emma looked like she was going to be sick. Tyler was sweating, clearly calculating how quickly he could get out of there. "Here is what is going to happen," I said calmly. Emma, you have until Sunday evening to get all your stuff out of my house. After that, I am donating whatever is left to Goodwill. Ryan, please, let us talk about this. And the student loans? You are on your own. I have already called the loan servicer and removed my automatic payment authorization. You cannot do that. I cannot afford. That is Tyler's problem now. He is your soulmate, right? I am sure he will figure something out. Tyler was already standing up. Look, I think there has been some misunderstanding here. The only misunderstanding, I said, standing to face him, is Emma thinking you were anything other than a deadbeat looking for a meal ticket. Get out of my house. Emma, come on, Tyler said, tugging at her arm. We should go. But Emma was not moving. She was staring at the papers in her hands, tears streaming down her face. This is all wrong, she whispered. This is not how it was supposed to happen. No, I agreed. It was supposed to happen, at our wedding in front of our families, after I had wasted more years supporting someone who saw me as a bank account with a pulse. That finally got her moving. She stood up shakily, still clutching the papers. I need time to think about all this. You had time to think. You chose Tyler. Now you get to live with Tyler. Tyler's reality instead of mine. I walked them to the door and watched Tyler's piece of crap Honda struggle to start in my driveway. Through the windshield, I could see Emma crying while Tyler gestured angrily, probably blaming me for ruining their reunion. That night, I called my dad. Emma called off the wedding, I told him, for her high school boyfriend. Dad was quiet for a moment. I am sorry, son. That is rough. The guy is married with kids, broke, living in a shitty apartment. But Emma thought he was her ticket to a better life. Sounds like she got exactly what she deserved then. I have been paying her student loans for a year and a half. She expected me to keep paying them even after she left. Dad actually laughed. The ball's on some people. What did you tell her? I told her she was on her own. Good man, your mother would have liked that. Mom had died when I was in college. Dad raised me to stand up for myself and not let people take advantage of my good nature. I could almost hear her voice saying, "You cannot buy someone's love, honey, but you sure can rent their attention." Sunday evening came and went. Emma never showed up to get her stuff. Monday morning, I started loading her belongings into my truck, clothes, books, decorations she had brought to make the house more feminine. All of it went to Goodwill. I kept one thing, the engagement ring, which she had left on the kitchen counter in a moment of drama. Tuesday, Emma called me at work. You cannot just throw away my things. Some of that stuff was expensive. I gave you a deadline, you missed it. I was processing everything, I needed time. You have had 3 years to process. How much more time do you need? I want my things back. Then you should have picked them up when I told you to. She started crying. Ryan, please, I am staying on Jessica's couch. I do not have anywhere to put my stuff anyway. What happened to Tyler's place? Long pause. It is small, and he has got some roommate issues he is working through. Roommate issues, right? Probably could not afford his share of the rent. That sounds like a Tyler problem. Please do not be like this. I know I made mistakes, but I thought we were friends. Friends do not abandon each other 3 weeks before their wedding for married deadbeats they knew in high school. He is getting divorced. When? He has been separated for how long and he still has not filed papers? Silence. Emma, the guy is using you. He needed a place to crash and someone to pay his bills, so he looked up his old girlfriends on Facebook until he found one stupid enough to fall for it. That is not true. Then why is not he helping with your student loans? Why are you calling me instead of your soulmate? More silence. Because he cannot help, she finally admitted. He is having some temporary financial difficulties. He is broke, Emma. He has been broke for years. Check his credit report. I cannot afford to run a credit report. Gee, if only you knew someone who had been paying your bills for the past year and a half. I hung up on her. That afternoon, my buddy Marcus called with an update. Tyler Morrison's last day substitute teaching was yesterday, he said. Turns out he is not coming back. Did they fire him? Nah, he just stopped showing up. Word is his wife tracked him down. She has been calling the school looking for him. Something about unpaid child support. Cassandra, the wife Tyler claimed he was divorcing. Anything else? Yeah, he applied for food stamps last week and there is a garnishment order for his wages, what few wages he has. Everything was falling apart for Tyler faster than I had expected. Good. Wednesday evening, Emma showed up at my door again, this time alone. She looked terrible, hair unwashed, wearing the same clothes she had had on 2 days earlier, and dark circles under her eyes. Can I come in, please? Against my better judgment, I let her into the entryway, but no further. Tyler is gone, she said without preamble. Gone where? I do not know. His phone goes straight to voicemail. The apartment manager says he moved out yesterday owing 2 months' rent. What about your epic love story? Don't be an ass. But she said it without conviction, like she was going through the motions. What do you want, Emma? I want to come home. I actually laughed. Home? This is not your home. You made that clear when you chose Tyler. I made a mistake, a huge, stupid mistake. Tyler was not who I thought he was. No kidding. I realize now that what we had was real, was good. I got confused by all the romantic fantasy, but what we built together was solid and lasting and boring. Don't forget boring. You said I made you feel trapped. She winced. I was wrong. You made me feel secure, safe, loved. Past tense. It does not have to be past tense. We can work through this, couples therapy, whatever you want. I stared at her for a long moment. Emma, do you understand what you are asking me? I am asking for another chance. You are asking me to take you back after you left me for another man, a married man with kids, 3 weeks before our wedding, after I had supported you financially for 18 months. I know it looks bad. It does not look bad. It is bad. It is the worst possible behavior from someone who claimed to love me. I do love you. You love what I provide. You love having someone pay your bills and fix your problems. You do not love me. That is not true. If it is not true, then why are you here? Tyler has been gone for 2 days and you are already at my door. If you loved me, you would not have left in the first place. She started crying again. Please, Ryan, I have nowhere else to go. You have parents. You have friends. You have a job. My parents are disappointed in me. Jessica is getting tired of me sleeping on her couch. And my job... She trailed off. What about your job? There might be some complications. Tyler and I we were seen together at school events. The principal asked some questions about our relationship timeline. Of course, small town, small school district, everyone knows everyone's business. A teacher having an affair with a married substitute was exactly the kind of scandal that could ruin a career. So you might lose your job? I might be asked to resign for the good of the school's reputation, leaving you with no income and $89,000 in student loans. Leaving me with nothing? She whispered. We stood there in silence for a moment. I felt bad for her. I am not a monster, but I also felt a cold satisfaction that her choices were catching up with her. I am sorry, I said finally, but I cannot help you. Cannot or will not. Both. So that is it? 3 years together means nothing? It meant everything to me, right up until you decided it meant nothing to you. She turned to leave, then paused. The student loans, just until I get back on my feet, please. No, I will pay you back. With what income? I will figure something out. You should have figured it out before you blew up your life. She left without another word. I watched through the window as she got into her car, a 2016 Camry that I had helped her buy 2 years ago. She sat there for a few minutes, probably crying, before finally driving away. I poured myself a drink and sat in my dad's old recliner, scratching Max behind the ears. The house felt bigger without Emma's clutter everywhere, but also emptier. I had loved her, genuinely loved her, and part of me still did. But love is not enough when the other person sees you as a safety net instead of a partner. 2 weeks later, Marcus called with more news. Emma Peters resigned from the school district, he said. Effective immediately, forced out. Officially, she is pursuing other opportunities. Unofficially, the parents were starting to ask questions about her relationship with Tyler, and the school board decided it was easier to let her go quietly. So Emma was unemployed, single, and facing $850 in monthly loan payments on zero income. Part of me felt guilty for not helping her. Part of me felt vindicated that she was finally experiencing consequences for her choices. 3 weeks after that, I ran into Emma at the grocery store. She was working as a cashier, wearing a uniform polo shirt and looking exhausted. When she saw me, her face flushed red. Ryan, Emma, how are you doing? I am fine, just fine. But she obviously was not. She looked like she had lost weight and her hands were shaking slightly as she scanned my items. Are you working here full-time now? For now, until I figure out my next step. Grocery store cashiers in our area make maybe $12 an hour. Even full-time, that is less than $30,000 a year before taxes, nowhere near enough to cover her loan payments. That is good, I said, meaning it. Honest work. She looked up at me sharply, maybe expecting sarcasm, but I was being genuine. Any job was better than no job. As I was leaving, she called after me. Ryan? I turned back. Tyler's wife found him in Alabama. She had him arrested for unpaid child support. I am sorry to hear that. Are you? I thought about it. Yeah, actually I am, not for Tyler. He made his choices, but I am sorry you got caught up in his mess. She nodded, tears forming in her eyes. I thought he was different, that we had something special. You did have something special with me, you just did not appreciate it until it was gone. That was the last time I spoke to Emma. 6 months later, I heard through the grapevine that she had moved back in with her parents and was working 2 part-time jobs while trying to get her teaching license reinstated. The student loan payments had gone into forbearance, but the interest was still accumulating. Her debt was now over $95,000. As for me, I kept the house, obviously. I started dating again after a few months. Nothing serious, just getting back out there. I learned to cook better, spent more time with friends, took up woodworking as a hobby, built a workshop in my garage, and started making furniture just like my dad. The engagement ring, I sold it and used the money for a down payment on a rental property. Real estate seemed like a better investment than diamonds. I am doing fine now. Better than fine, actually. The house feels like home again instead of a showcase for someone else's dreams. Max is happy having the attention of only one human. My bank account is growing instead of shrinking. Sometimes I think about Emma and wonder how different things might have been if she had appreciated what we had, instead of chasing what she thought she wanted. But then I remember Tyler and Emma's casual dismissal of everything I'd worked for, and I realize I dodged a bullet. Some lessons are expensive, but they are worth learning. Better to find out who someone really is before the wedding than after. And Tyler, last I heard, he was in jail in Alabama, facing criminal charges for failure to pay child support. Turns out being an artist does not pay the bills, especially when you have 2 kids and an ex-wife who knows where to find you. Emma's soulmate turned out to be exactly what I said he was, a deadbeat looking for someone else to solve his problems. She just chose to learn that lesson the hard way. That is all. Sometimes the best revenge is just stepping back and letting people face the consequences of their own choices. Emma wanted Tyler instead of me. She got Tyler instead of me. Everything that came with that was her decision to own. I am just glad I found out who she really was before I legally tied my future to hers.